Network Entertainment.
Any company that stops exploring, stops being curious to see parang what else can we do, will die. They will stagnate. And again, the thing about humanity is like our preferences, our desires, our needs will keep changing. So the company, if you're successful today, if you don't change in like 5, 10 years time on a regular basis, you will die. You'll become extinct.
And we can apply this to ourselves so that we don't stagnate and
correct.
evolve.
Because again, if you might be great now, pero if you don't keep learning, example, if you're not curious about computers or let's say AI tools or whatever, 5, 10 years from now, you'll stagnate.
Now you're going to teach us some action steps or habits that we can all apply so that we stay curious and don't stagnate and evolve over time. Hi, this is Mirza Season. Welcome to You Can Do This, a podcast that'll help you achieve your dreams and goals one episode at a time. What are you waiting for? Let's go! Attention mga marites, both self-confessed and closet. Good news! Did you know that one of the biggest missed opportunities for success is, guess what? Not asking enough questions. Many stick to what they know because they're afraid of exploring the unknown, because they think it will make them seem unsure or slow them down. But what if staying curious is actually the key to unlocking new opportunities and achieving success? Today, we're chatting with the co-founder of Curiosity Inc., a boutique design research agency that helps organizations solve problems by understanding people better. An expert in business innovation, systems thinking, UX research, and game design, he's passionate about using curiosity to create solutions that make a real difference. He's helped all kinds of organizations, from startups to global foundations, tackle the challenges faced by Filipino customers and communities by asking the right questions. Please welcome Birdie Salva.
Thank you so much, Mirza, for having me.
Hi, Birdie. So nice to see
it's
you
been
again.
a while.
Right? The last time that I interacted with Birdie fairly often was in the world of hair. As you can see, he has very good hair.
Dati may color pa.
He used to work in L'Oreal.
Yes.
And then what other industries were you a part of before you got to...
L'Oreal was my first job immediately after graduation. So,
right.
And actually, nakakatawa, like, I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. When I first came into L'Oreal, like, all the people were looking at me like, parang, that won't last. Like 2 months, 5 months lang.
Did they make you over immediately with like colored hair?
You have to. So I handled salon hair care brands. So parang, ano yan, right of initiation, you have to have your first hair color.
That's why I saw you in my salon. So now, fast forward to today. Tell us about what you do and the company you founded.
Sure. So I'm one of the co-founders of Curiosity. We're a design research agency. And what we do is really we try to understand people's behaviors. So we do a lot of qualitative ethnographic research. That means interviews, observations, immersions. And as we study their context, their behaviors, and how they use things, all of those findings are what we provide to our clients to guide them whenever they're trying to design new products, new services, new experiences, or even new programs.
Wow. It seems like, it seems so scientific in a parang a scary kind of way.
May
people
may
under
process.
a petri dish or something.
No. So yun naman. There's two ways naman to go about that one. So as much as possible, we want to make sure that the participants, the people we're studying, are very comfortable and they are in their place of power.
Right.
So which is why because if you bring them, let's say, into a conference room, like a regular like nanay, tapos dali mo sa conference room.
One-way mirror, ganyan.
we still do that. Pero we have to set it up na parang they feel very comfortable. So, but as much as possible, kung kaya sa bahay nila, sa area nila, sa barangay nila, para lang they feel like parang they're free to share and to tell about their stories.
So marami-raming tanongan yan.
Puro tanong. Marami, yun yung sasabi namin sa Sumataglis, parang ang daming tanong.
Yes, ang daming tanong. So, did you always know that you were a naturally curious person? Like, may inner marites ka ba from your childhood, ganyan?
No.
No.
So, sa school, school even until high school, college, I'm not the chismoso ganyan. But I love hearing it. But I'm not the one. I'll be the last to learn about these things. So I'm not that kind na parang like yung. So I would rely on certain people na para ikwento sa akin.
But were you curious about things in general?
I am always very curious. So on that side naman, I'm someone who tries everything.
Right.
So theater, like any any some new hobbies, new sports, anything like anything that sparks my interest. Like I just deep dive into it and try to learn as much as I can about it.
Right. So curiosity is not gossip.
No,
How
but
would you define it?
curiosity, I think, would be that that desire to learn, the desire to learn, to understand, and to discover. So it's really about like trying to, at least in my case, my sense of curiosity would be, why does this exist? Why does it work that way? And if ever, parang what other things can happen from it? So from why to why not? Parang why
Right.
not something else? What else can we mash into this to create something new, something interesting, and something that works?
So your mission is to find the why in
Always,
life.
yes.
Right. When did you think that pwede mo pagkakitaan yung
Ah,
curiosity?
I think I think dito sa what started me on my journey was actually back in college, 2002.
Oh.
I got a chance to visit Stanford in
Oh.
2002. So it was a student exchange program for a week long thing. And when I got to visit Stanford, sobrang wow, parang ganda ng campus and everything. And then they brought us to a group called IDEO. IDEO was it was a design thinking group that actually designed the first mouse, the first laptops,
Oh.
and even yung Free Willy na whale, sila yung nag-design yun. So they brought us to their workshop and then they were talking about design thinking, human-centered design, all of these new things. I'm like, parang, at that point, again, 2002, second year college, that's what I want to do. Yun, dun
Oh, so
parang,
you knew way back
I
then.
wished, I never knew I'd have a path towards that way, pero I really, really, really wanted to go that way. But syempre, after graduate, corporate life muna, I joined L'Oreal for 5 years. But after that, slowly, I had the chance in 2010 to start my own. When I decided na parang to really strike it out on my own, found my co-founders, and we said na parang, let's do something like that. Something like that, na parang focusing on design research.
So it grew over time.
It did. So from 2012, fast forward until now. So I think we're now on our 13th years? 13
Right.
years now. What's interesting though is like in 2021, IDEO became our client.
Oh my
So parang like
gosh. Wow.
full circle.
Full
So up
circle.
until now we're actively servicing IDEO. So whenever they need research in the Philippines, they tap us.
Wow. So in your experience, how does curiosity lead to success in like the lives of normal people?
First of all, it's really just simply challenging yourself, because everything, any new initiative, new idea, new thing that you want to venture into, it has to start with that certain curiosity na parang like, try kaya natin to. Parang, kaya ba natin to? Try natin. What is it about this thing? So, I think kung wala yung curiosity to really even take that first step to explore something, you'll never grow. Either you want to start a new career, a new business, a new hobby, a new interest. It won't start until you really just ask yourself na parang, what if? Why not?
Do you think Filipinos are naturally curious or are they very accepting of either their fate or that wala nang magagawa, ganyan talaga yan.
I think humanity as a whole is naturally curious. So it's literally inborn into humans, but it's the systems and culture of a certain mga ganyan, na certain society that might prevent that curiosity to flourish.
How?
So for example, let's say pagka you're penalized for mistakes. You're penalized for asking too much questions. So example, like let's say you're at home, you wanna explore something new, and then
Right.
sinasabihan ka, hindi ka naman magaling dyan eh. Parang
Right.
pangat naman yan. Or you try something and then you fail once, and then people discourage you, hindi ka naman gagaling dyan eh. No one starts good at anything. So
Right.
no one's born a doctor, no one's born an architect or a lawyer. So anytime someone starts on something, you will suck. you will suck at that. You might have some good talent, sure. It'll be maybe good sa first early stages, pero you won't be good, and then you need to put in the time and effort, and again the curiosity to and passion, hopefully, to really dedicate yourself to grow
And
in
we
it.
hear so many people saying, di naman ako magaling sa whatever, di ba? Public speaking
Right.
or writing, di ba? Like immediately from their youth, they're so quick to say, I'm no good at writing or I'm no good at public
Right.
speaking.
Pero yun naman kasi, like, it's again, of course, matter of two things. Did you spend enough time to train yourself there? But also, I'm sure, example, for certain things naman, there will be physical limitations. If you can't sing
Right.
at like at 30 years old and talagang hindi kaya, baka hindi na kaya.
Right,
However, by simply trying new things, you might learn something there which you can bring to some other aspect of your life.
Like if you are average Filipino height, you may never reach the NBA. Ganyan.
Yes, of course.
So, can you think of a time when following your curiosity led you to something totally unexpected, like a major insight or a big opportunity?
I think one of the fun things that we did before was when we were trying to do a study for healthcare.
Okay.
So we had a client. They said parang we want to create a chain of healthcare clinics, and to do that, so sabi niya parang, okay, we have an idea, we have a vision, we have a model na we want to copy from the US, we want to bring it here to the Philippines. Gagana ba dito? Sabi niya parang, here we have barangay health centers, etc., etc. So this new model, gagana ba yan dito? So ang what we did was to first go to certain communities kung saan yung target market nila, and really spend time with the people. We lined up with them nung umaga nakapilan sila to go to the health centers, to see like 100 people nakapila for the rest of the day, to talk to the doctors who were seeing all of them. And from all of their stories and observations, we were hearing the stories na parang kahit na libre yan, hindi sulit. Minsan kasi like the amount of time that they have to spend. So sometimes you will hear stories na parang, I wish na I'm willing to pay itong amount, just give me fast service. Pagpunta ko, ako na agad. Or at least man lang hindi yung 2 oras, 3 oras yung antay ko. So those little things led to the creation of a new itong chain of clinics that our client actually built.
Wow. Wow. And what about like in your own personal life?
I think that, well, I designed the board game.
All right.
Yeah. So I think that was one thing na parang in around 2016. So I like games. I play board games. I like play video games. Around 2016, and this is when uso yung Catan, mga Cards Against Humanity. So I really said na parang like, I wanna try making a board game. I had no experience at all, not good at math, but I really just wanna try it. So got my friend si Albert, which I think
Right,
had
Albert
as a
Orr.
guest.
Right.
So together with Albert, we said, na parang,
Wait,
"Tara,
you have to be good at math to make a board game.
depends." So if you make board games where there's a lot of systems, like parang may points here, may mga ganyan, you'll need math. So when we first tried to make something, wala, like parang we actually just copied an existing game, tweak it a little bit, pero like I couldn't make it fun or unique kasi parang ang daming math, which is why I like said, okay, scrap that, I'm gonna copy something else. So what if inspired by Cards Against Humanity, where there's no points, the points don't matter, what if we just make something na social lang? And then from there, so me, my wife, si Arlene C, and a lot of other collaborators, together we created a new board game.
Tell them naman what it's about.
So it is
Walang censorship.
walang censorship. So it is an erotic adult party game called Happy Ending, a game of horny ghosts and vanishing clothes.
That you
Sobrang
didn't
off-brand.
expect that.
Off-brand, grabe. But yun, but that is me exploring my curiosity that led to an amazing journey na parang we published it in 2019. We found like a good set of people who were very open, and they loved it. And until today, we're still selling it pa rin naman. So
Wow.
I'm not making a career out of making board games, but that simply just going through that direction taught me so
Right.
many things about marketing, online selling, again, game design, publishing. So I take all of that learnings and I apply it to my other things. Rin.
Right. How does being a curious person benefit ourselves? Like, there's studies that show that it boosts creativity, like in your case, learning, problem solving. Also, it primes us now to remember things better. So,
Right.
any other insights about it?
I think curiosity kasi parang again, that attribute of being curious, first of all, it makes you humble. Because whenever you want to explore something new, something you have no idea about, then you suddenly feel overwhelmed. Parang like, ang dami na existing knowledge, marami na mas magagaling sa akin, ang dami na nagawa. Who am I like to enter this field? Pero you have to accept that kind of humility first na parang, yes, there's a lot of things you don't know, and that's okay. Actually, if you were to look at it in a positive light, there's so much to learn and it's so fun. The act of learning is fun and it's so engaging and exciting. Na parang, kahit matanda ka na, you still feel like parang there's something new to discover. And as you're doing those things, I think the creativity part after curiosity, the creativity part comes when you're mashing together and combining together one idea or one thing from one world to another. So when you cross-pollinate all of those things, doon parang magic happens.
I love it. So, to battle imposter syndrome, where you feel like, well, I'm not an expert in this field, tap into the fun of learning.
Yes.
As
You have
a
to
beginner.
you have to enjoy learning. It's fun.
Right, right. Let's talk about cultural and societal barriers that we were talking about earlier. So a lot of people are taught to stay in your lane or wag nang maraming tanong, dami mong tanong, di ba? How do we break this mindset and encourage curiosity instead?
I think with regards to the staying in your lane. So I don't agree in that. So I guess no, kailangan may nuance. There's some moments where I feel like kung sobrang misinformed, I think yun. Kung let's say if someone is giving a comment about something and it's absolutely totally misinformed, nagbo-border fake news na siya or lies na, yun ano na, parang I think I would agree na parang watch what you're saying
Right,
muna
right.
before you spread misinformation. But if it's coming from parang, well, these are my values, this is what I believe in without any malice, then they start sharing parang, well, here's my opinion in something else, then for me that's perfectly fine. So I think when people say na stay in your lane, I disagree. Kasi parang I disagree na parang it should be it should be a universal thing. Everyone should be allowed to explore
Right.
whatever their passions or whatever their interests might be.
Right. Or what if they say that being curious means you're being nosy or pakialamera? Like, let's say you're curious, you bring up something, and then they'll say, bakit pa ka nakikialam, di ba?
Mm.
Parang, don't be so nosy. How can
Well,
we
I think
change that misunderstanding?
kung nosy kasi because it's someone's personal life and then talagang
Right,
nakikisingit na,
right,
yun,
right.
okay lang. Sige, parang like, yeah, don't be too nosy if it's someone's personal life and they don't want to share. But if it's something about, na example, let's say, I want to improve a certain government feature or service na parang I feel like this can be made better. And like, I want to poke in, I want to ask
Right,
around.
right, right.
And then from there, maybe like you got inspired to make a startup, make a new business about it, make a new idea about it to be able to address that problem. By all means, the world needs more of you.
Right. And so I'm sure your team is composed of very curious people.
All of them. It's
And how do you encourage that? And did you ever experience when some people are kind of hesitant because they don't want to sound stupid, or what is the kind of atmosphere that you encourage?
right. I think yun. So first of all, would be it's in one of our core values. So everyone who works in curiosity, like yun, talaga, it's really a core value. Kailangan curious ka. You love learning.
So may curiosity test ba yan?
Wala naman. Gut feel. Na-feel namin as we talk to them. Pero yun na parang like you love doing this work because just simply doing the work of asking questions, talking to people brings you so much satisfaction and joy. And then we're looking for those kinds of people. And marami yan.
Do you feel lost, doubting yourself, and tired? You question your worth and existence? Well, I'm here for you. Hey, this is Gailey Chavez, and I'm the host of Free Yourself Podcast. My podcast talks about self-love, self-discovery, and growth. This is for everyone who wants to live their fullest life and become the person that they could be. Let me help out and remind you that this is your life, your path, that you are not broken, and you are worth it. Catch me every Friday at 8 p.m. See ya!
But with regards to setting up that environment, on our end, it's really just no stupid questions. So, and we have to live it. So whenever we have discussions, everyone's tossing ideas. You never say na parang no one shoots anyone down. You listen, you give constructive feedback, and we build on each other's ideas.
So walang ko-contra. Every idea is valid.
No, hindi naman sa every idea is valid, but I hear your idea and then
Okay.
I'll give my perspective on it. So similar to improv, na parang like yung yes
Right.
and you build on what they're saying.
Okay.
Yan. But of course, if there's a certain flaw in the logic, then we bring it up lang.
Right. So what is possible when one adopts like a curiosity mindset? What will happen to you?
Well, number one is you become the ideas person. So parang you become someone brave. Kasi whenever there's something new na unexplored, it needs someone who's curious to be able to say na parang tara, let's check that out. Like, let's start a new business. Let's get into, example, like you don't have any experience in food. Let's start a new restaurant, or parang I want to write a book. I want to do this. Let's try that out. You become brave.
Right.
And then people, with that bravery, then people follow you.
Right.
So I think that's one. Number two, again, as I mentioned, about ideas. So you are someone na parang, nagiging mabilis na parang you cross-pollinate all of your different experiences and things that you've tried in the past. And then suddenly, like, people will be so amazed, like, parang, how did you come up with that? Oh, but for you, it feels natural because I saw that, I experienced that somewhere else. And then, I'm just bringing it here. Applying something that worked in a different context to this context, and that's when innovation happens.
So may na-apply ka na ba from the world of hair or salons to your other pursuits?
I actually want to bring up kasi na parang for me kasi the way you explore curiosity, you have to experience it also with your body. Hindi lang pwede na binabasa lang. For me, like the way for me kasi curiosity should not be I keep on reading lang or watching videos lang. The best way for me to explore something is really experience it with your body touch the tools, do the actions yourselves, walk the places that you want to, talk to the people in person, do all of those things. I think that's when talagang sparks in your neurons na nag-activate.
So may part gut feel and intuition.
It adds to that. Pero yun, like
Right.
example, sa salon. So, back in the L'Oreal days, I colored people's hair. I spent time in the salons too, and I tried using like mga irons and stuff. So I know what it feels like, and I know like what's the smell of mga oxidation and everything happens. So parang since given all of that things, I know what I can empathize with what it means like to work in a salon, and from there, it guides me whenever I'm making something.
So when you talk to salon owners, you're not just like the nerd with the glasses in the corner, like with the Excel sheet.
More of the parang I can empathize with them, and then they know like when I give suggestions na parang they know na parang I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, here's something that I think our society and citizenry needs. What's a good way to challenge assumptions and ask questions? Because parang maybe when we're so desensitized and we have maybe what politics fatigue, we just accept things at face value and don't employ our critical thinking.
Right.
What's a good way to be in that habit of challenging assumptions?
Right. I think one of my favorite ways is really to apply systems thinking, like that kind of framework in my head. So whenever I see anything that happens, I guess one of the simplest models yung iceberg model. So iceberg model, diba, parang in an iceberg,
Right.
whatever's on top that you see, konti lang yun. But underneath, there's a lot of things that you cannot see. So any single repeating phenomenon, so example, let's say, nagkakasunog dito, may corruption dyan, anything that's happening there, you have to go a bit deeper pa from what you see in the news, what's being reported in the news. And then once you go deeper, you will find out, okay, there are systems, policies, rules, incentives that support certain behaviors, and then from that mga systems na yun, there's a deeper mindset values that that underlies everything pa. So when I apply my curiosity about trying to understand certain things, I try to go a bit deeper. Parang okay, sige, ito yung ginagawa ng mga tao dyan, pero bakit sila ganyan? And then parang going to society, cultures, politics, try to find parang ano ba yung real root cause. And usually hindi lang isa, maraming root causes yan that are all interconnecting together that causes yung mga current phenomenon na yan.
So, ngayong magkakaroon na ng elections, medyo napapanahon ng curiosity mindset, di ba? So, how would you apply everything that you said, for example, in evaluating, let's say, a popular candidate that appeals to our emotions because he can sing and dance and he's poggy or whatever? How would you apply that?
Whatever they say during the campaign period, again, parang you have to look what do they do when they actually won in the past. How they behaved before the campaign period reveals who they are. So, again, how they present themselves when they're in mga hearings, ano yung mga policies that they're promoting, parang what their response is to certain, example, again, are they anti-political dynasty? Are they anti this and that? So those reveal who they are, not what they say when they're singing, dancing on stage. That doesn't matter. Do you walk the talk?
Oh, walk the talk.
Yeah.
Right. And not just talk. How can you encourage an environment of curiosity? And can everyone afford all that time for like curious exploration over like efficiency?
Well, if you're in a company, definitely, so everything is managed. So time, resources have to be managed because entrepreneurs executives, mainly you're a manager of human energy.
Okay.
You manage human energy. That's all you are. So
Right,
parang
right.
like you direct where people will spend their time to build, to design, to create something. So you have to manage it effectively. But any company that stops exploring, stops being curious to see what else can we do, will die. They will stagnate. And again, the thing about humanity is like our preferences, our desires, our needs will keep changing. So the company, if you're successful today, if you don't change in like 5-10 years time on a regular basis, you will die. You'll become extinct. However, companies though have systems that prevent them from trying to explore things. For example, let's say there's a company na malaki na sila, and I need to grow. I need to get more sales, and there's something interesting, something that I might be curious about, but it has no data. There's no data about it, or if there's data, it's too small,
Right.
and ergo, it's not worth my time to invest in. Why invest in something risky
Right,
na
right.
malaking chance mag-fail rather than focusing on what I already have? But if you keep on focusing on what you already have lang,
You're
the time will
not gonna
come, malalaos rin yan. And then you
Right.
might, and some small startup who's focusing on that new thing will grow and take over you someday.
Right.
So you have to have that system na parang, can we allocate a certain, let's say, a task force who will be
Right.
assigned to that one, and even if it fails, okay lang, as long as there's something to learn from it, and then to bring back to the main group.
Dapat may task force future forward.
Parang ganyan. Like, allow them to fail, but allow them to learn. And of course, given certain constraints naman kung
So
how
is
much they
this
have.
why successful businesses do not endure the test of time?
There's I'm coming from a book that I love. It's called The Innovator's Dilemma.
Right.
It poses the question, parang why is it that like literally big companies, example, Nokia. Nokia used to be the biggest
Yeah.
company. They're dead.
Right.
They had all the best people, they had all the money, and they're dead. So parang why is it like parang over time, you have had many companies that become so big. Example, like let's say camera makers. I don't know
Kodak.
which one. Kodak.
Like Fuji
Or-
survived, but
or even
Kodak
yun, like
did not.
parang the one who makes mga SLRs pa rin now, they're all dying and stuff. So why is it that it keeps happening again and again? Big companies become world leaders, they have all the money, all the market share, and they die because
Right.
some small ones will come along. You know, like I said, nga, parang sometimes kasi na they say na I need enough sales, so I can't spend money on those small things. It's so small, ignore.
Right.
There's no data, ignore. But if you're someone small and you try those things, nothing to lose, and then slowly, even though it sucks, your new first product might suck, but it's something new and it works. It works in
Right.
some way, and given time, they just grow. So Airbnb, your first iPhone, Grab, Uber, lahat naman to sa simula, di pa siya ganyan ka-perfect eh. But just given enough time, then they grow, and it's like you can't do anything to remove them na.
And we can apply this to ourselves so that
Yes.
we don't stagnate
Yes,
and
correct.
evolve.
Because again, if you you might be great now, pero if you don't
Right.
keep learning, example, if you're not curious about computers or let's say AI tools or whatever, 5-10 years from now, you'll stagnate.
I'm also curious about, diba? Curious about the so-called decline of critical thinking
Okay.
in maybe our countrymen, or maybe it's global. What do you think is happening here? Why are we losing our capability for critical thought?
I might be
Supposedly.
overgeneralizing, so I don't have data to back up
Right.
certain things. But to overgeneralize and simplify, well, number one would be the literacy level, literacy and education level. So kung kulang sa literacy, then it'll be really hard for them to read and to understand information that's presented to them. So I think that's one. But number two would be the availability of information. So the more information, factual information that you have, then it helps have a basis of shared truth. Kung puro social media lang, and again, social media can be very misleading depending kung sino yung source, then mahirap na parang like, how can you be to say something critically, to talk about something na factual kung opinion or invented truths na lang from whoever source na to. So
Yeah.
I think yun yung mga missing things. So literacy first, and the amount of available open information that people can base from.
So it's not a lack of curiosity, but
Okay,
maybe sticking to your bubble with limited
yes, I think
stimuli.
I think kasi parang again, humanity naturally curious, but once na the social parts come in,
Right.
and then that can be that hampers you from being curious. Like example, smart shaming, diba narinig natin lagi yun?
Right,
Parang,
right.
parang ba't ka nagmang magaling and stuff. So I guess if you address that, then mas you let people's natural curiosity explore itself.
Right. Okay, now you're going to teach us some action steps or habits that we can all apply so that we stay curious and don't stagnate and evolve over time.
Okay. I'll apply it to some things that I personally
Sure.
apply. So I guess I'll repeat what I said kanina. Number one, experience things with your body. So whenever I'm curious about something, hindi lang puro basa, hindi lang puro YouTube videos lang. If it's something tangible, physical, like, a sports, a hobby, whatever it is, experience it. Touch the tools, write, paint, draw, play the games, whatever it is.
So
I
play
think-
basketball, don't just watch it.
yeah, if can. So I feel like parang you learn so much more. You don't have to. Ako di ako expire. Aspire maging wala akong sports at all. Pero example, let's say you want to play basketball. You're interested in basketball. Give it a try. Pero not expecting na magiging athlete, diba? Pero at least lang just indulge in your
Right.
curiosity. You'll have a better appreciation of what it is about.
Right.
Number two is I personally have like an ideas note app. So in my notes app, so dati written pa, pero ngayon notes app na. So parang I have a lot of list ng whatever I encounter an interesting link. So, copy the link. I put anything interesting quotes. I collect everything. I'm a collector of those things. You never know parang when the time comes, parang, like I remember seeing this thing and I want to apply that for this. And then
Same.
I just go back to that huge database of stuff. Isang search lang na harap yung mga yan. That's also helpful. Number three would be having a community. So have a community who can help you grow that kind of help you nurture yung curious side of you. Kasi kung ikaw lang minsan masyadong lonely. Pero
Lumabas sa Circles.
Or find your circles, find your people. Yung pwede makibudol, hindi rin budol na buy things. But to really help you love and explore when you're exploring these new things.
But then, once you find your circle, go out of that circle sometimes.
Yes. Oh, don't stick to one lang. Or have many circles.
Right. Like, for example, what are your circles?
So apart from Curiosity, people, I'm part of BNI. So BNI is a
Right.
business network, which of course we were
together
together
in
in BNI Iconic. So BNI, again, every week there's always new entrepreneurs to meet, and it's so fun and interesting. I'm also part of Entrepreneur Organization Accelerator Program. So that's another group na where I'm really learning a lot. Parang siyang little mini MBA na rin. I'm part of a board game community and tabletop gaming community. So I'm part of a
Right.
lot of circles.
Right. Any more? How about on a daily basis?
Daily basis, well, I'm someone who, it's part of my, I guess, like parang, I know from StrengthsFinder, I know I'm someone who loves, like, I'm a learner. And
Right.
and input. Input is
Same.
one of my strengths. So I love digesting a lot of information. So on a daily basis, I'm someone who reads everything that I can find. So daily news, politics, local, international, YouTube videos here and there. But I just keep on reading and watching everything. So anytime na in any conversation, parang I'm familiar about every single thing. Yan.
Right.
So it really helps.
How about when meeting people? Like, a lot of people are very afraid of networking, making small talk. But something that I kind of preach in my confidence workshops is be curious about other people.
I did learn that from you.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I remember from your mga dati yung mga discussions
Okay.
natin.
So is this something that you would encourage? Like,
Yes.
if you were afraid,
Well, I just
just ask around.
yeah, when so again, something I learned. Ako rin, again, I was telling you this before, para ako mismo, if you put me in a networking event, ako yung mas quiet lang, and I'll hopefully wait for someone
Right.
to come to me. But again, what I did na lang was to really prepare some questions in my head, and all the questions is really to learn about them. So parang,
Right.
tell me more about what you do, and again, how can I help you? Yun lang yun. So what do you do, and how can I help you? And from there, parang it just flows down, because the goal is really to get to know more about them. I'm curious about them. I'm not trying to sell them anything about me.
Right. So if our listeners could take away just one important mindset or mantra about why they should stay curious, what would that be?
If you're not curious about the world, you're missing out on joy. The joy of learning.
Joy.
The joy of learning, the joy about life, because there's so many things to learn about, and just have fun. As in, it's it's fun to learn. And I hope you maybe if you go back to your childhood, ganyan. If you go back to childhood, like, just simply recall those times where it's just so fun when you're trying something new, you're learning a new skill or new sports, or exploring a new book. So relive that. It's you can still do that today. So it'll help with your growth, and it'll spark your creativity, your passion, your leadership. Everything follows.
Thank you so much, Birdie. Where can our listeners find out more about Curiosity
Sure.
and your work?
Do invite you to check out our website, curiosity.ph, and you can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I'm not super active, pero I'm there. You can find me there.
And if people are curious about that erotic board game that you've designed, where can they buy it?
You can find it on IG, Happy Ending Game. So, and yeah, we sell on IG. Just message and I'll be the one to answer.
And that makes up for our happy ending. Thank you so much,
Thank
Birdie.
you so much for having me.
See you again next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to You Can Do This. If you want to know more about me, visit mirza.com. That's MYRZA.com. And follow me at Mirza Season on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and LinkedIn. If you like this episode, please don't forget to rate it 5 stars. Hit the follow button on your podcast streaming platforms and hit the notification bell to get alerted every time we release a new episode. Catch you at our next convo, and always remember, you can do this.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.